Okay, guys, Adam Fennig here with Fennig Equipment. You're tuned in to today's webinar. The purpose of today's webinar is to educate you on how Fennig Equipment can help you guys with the H2Ohio project. I'm not going to talk a lot about the H2Ohio project and its guidelines. The SWDC and the ODA and the folks that put on those meetings that are coming around the state, they do a phenomenal job educating you about the parameters, those 7 practices. I urge you to go to those meetings to learn about the ins and outs, the requirements, and how you can sign up for that cost share. For today, I am going to talk about how Fennig Equipment can supply you with the equipment needed to subsurface apply phosphorus, to apply cover crops in a timely fashion, and also managing the manure aspect of it as well. Fennig Equipment, if you're not aware, is located in Coldwater, Ohio. We're a small family-owned company with 10 to 12 employees. We've been specializing in fertilizer application and placement equipment and also cover crop equipment for close to a decade now. This is exactly what we specialize in. We've worked with growers for a long time that have been on the cutting edge, wanting to better manage their nitrogen, better manage their phosphorus. We've built several toolbars equipped to do exactly what the H2Ohio project is pushing. So we're very familiar with it. We're in close proximity. We're actually in one of the 14 counties. We're in Mercer County of the H2Ohio project. So we're here to help. We're local. And I probably should have went to this slide a little sooner, but this blue dot is where we're located. This is a map of basically our Ohio customer base. As you can see, we're very well entrenched in that Northwest Ohio territory. We've got a lot of great customers up there. And what I'm getting at is this is nothing new to us. So that's where we're located. And I just want to reiterate over and over that again, we're here to help you guys. We've set up several toolbars like this, like what we'll talk about here shortly. And we really want to be the go-to dealership with the knowledge and the support. I've had deer dealers call me already. I've had precision dealers. I've had farmers call me wanting some information on how we can equip toolbars, because right now it's a little bit of chaos, guys kind of scrambling, trying to figure out how they're going to do this, who they're going to team up with. Fennig Equipment's definitely here to help. So the whole idea of this webinar is to go through and look at different projects we've done and hopefully get your gears turning and get some ideas created in your head saying, man, that toolbar, that right there would work. And Fennigs have already built it. Or, man, if we just tweak this toolbar a little bit, that would work for us. And get some ideas for you guys based on what we've done in the past. So I'm just going to show over and over pictures of what we've done. But there's going to be about 5 things that I say over and over in this webinar that are kind of, you can just cut and paste into any toolbar. One of them is going to be this Valmar cover crop seeder right here. We use the Valmar cover crop seeders extensively. We've sold hundreds of them, and they fit many aspects of what we're doing. Anything from metering micronutrients to putting them on your high boy seeder, your high boy sprayer, your vertical tillage machine, creating an inner seeder toolbar with them. They fit everywhere. They work very well. Another constant you'll hear me talk about is this Salford ST cart, the ST6, the ST10. We'll get into those later. Those are the elite metering system, the metering box that holds the fertilizer and gets the product to the row. You'll hear a lot of that. Another constant you're going to hear is the Yetter Magnum. That is my go-to one of my go-to single disc openers for low disturbance, high speed application of nutrients. The other one's going to be the Nutrient Pro 4000. Again, it's very similar to the Magnum, but all of these things are going to be constants throughout this webinar because those are the tools we've used and have had very good success with them. So these are just some examples. We're banding dry fertilizer here on 30 inches in the top left. The bottom left, this gentleman is in Indiana on 20-inch centers. That's a custom built bar with a split tank ST8 with the Nutrient Pro 4000s. Top right corner is a Yetter Maverick strip till unit banning dry fertilizer in the fall. And the bottom right picture is a Valmar cover crop seeder incorporating cover crops with the Yetter strip freshener. So we're going to start off with the cover crop application side of it, and we're going to show you different pictures that offer many different ideas. So there's basically 4 phases of applying cover crops throughout the year. The first opportunity of cover crop application is going to be at side dress time. So when that corn's knee high, and there's 2 ways to apply at side dress. You can attach a Valmar seeder to your actual side dress applicator, whether it's a liquid or an anhydrous applicator, and you can apply nitrogen and cover crops in the same pass. That is becoming extremely common. You'll see some pictures of that here shortly. The other opportunity is to build an actual interseeding toolbar. So you can either use row units or the rotary hose, which you'll see here shortly, or our S2S seed to soil row unit that we've been working a lot with here lately. But either way, that is the first phase, is the side dress time. The next opportunity is with a Highboy, Hagee or Miller high clearance sprayer. You can attach either a Valmar or our FE4R cover crop seeder box onto that. Your third window of opportunity is with the combine, which for the October 15th deadline that they're holding us to in the H2Ohio, that may not be an ideal window. And then of course there's the post-harvest application. So those 4, but this customer here is in Northwest Ohio. This is Josh and Troy Furr. They do a phenomenal job with cover crops, and they mounted this Valmar on this Drago probably 2 or 3 years ago now, and they've had phenomenal success. They blow the seed all the way up into the front snoots of that combine. And as the combine goes to the field, the corn fodder then blankets the seed and acts much like straw does when you're seeding grass, and it holds and locks moisture in there. And they have very, very good germination and success with that. So I told you you'd see it. Here is a Valmar cover crop seeder mounted on the back of a 60-foot Case IH liquid applicator. This gentleman is located here in Ohio, and he's going out there and applying liquid nitrogen and cover crops in the same pass with at about a V4 stage. He's using a wide variety of cover crops in that mix. I believe it's like a 12 or 13 way mix that he's using. But again, you're already making the pass. Throw the seeder on there, and that obviously beats that October 15th deadline. It's a phenomenal way to get it done. And we've mounted a lot of those Valmar cover crop seeders on the back of those applicators for customers to get out there, get cover crops seeded before it gets too late, because that post-harvest application window on corn, that October 15th is going to be a struggle. Here's another option for that interseeding V4 phase time frame, and that is these rotary hoe interseeders. This one right here, as you can see, all we do is we take the gangs of rotary hoes, we buy them straight from Yetter, and we bolt them on there. The width of those wheels together is roughly 18 inches, and those go down in between the corn rows. You've got the seeder mounted on there with a ground-driven wheel. So basically, as you're driving through, we're spitting seed out in front of those rotary hoe wheels, and it's getting incorporated, getting great seed to soil contact, and the germination's very well. So, you know, another opportunity for interseeding at that V4 timeframe. Again, keep in mind, we're definitely beating that October 15th window here. It's a very good option to get your cover crops established. Maybe get one of these toolbars and pick up not only your ground, but I'm sure your neighbors would appreciate some custom work as well. Keep that in mind on all this equipment. And I want to back up just a little bit and talk about rough pricing. You know, we always are talking equipment, and everyone listening is always curious, just how much is that going to cost me? Something like this, a seeder mounted on the back, that cedar is going to be in that 18 to 20 range. So just figure on that. We'll have some costs and some brackets to get that back there, but probably 18 to 20 there on that one. This toolbar right here with the cedar and rotary hoe wheels, you'll probably be in that creeping up to 30 range, I say, is where you'd be. That's a 30-foot toolbar. I mentioned that you could do some actual row units, and that's what's depicted here in these the two left pictures. This was a toolbar we built and sent to Texas. That's a 40-foot toolbar. We're actually using the Salford row units there. That's a unit that they use on their drill quite heavily up in Western Canada, but it's an actual double disc row unit. We're putting the seed down through a seed tube. It's got parallel linkage arms, adjustable spring tension on your down pressure. It's got that gauge wheel on the back that acts as a closing wheel as well. So very good option there for a one pass, great seed to soil contact. That's a tool right there that you could put a lot of acres on and get your cover seeded, obviously prior to that October 15th deadline. Now here's a tool right here that I think is going to become extremely popular in the H2Ohio program. The reason for that is that you can cover some serious acres with this thing. Now, keep in mind, it is going to be a post-harvest pass. However, that thing is 60 feet wide. It requires very little horsepower. It requires 8 gallons a minute of hydraulic flow. Just simply fold out the booms and cover acres. At 9 miles an hour, you'll be covering an acre about every minute and 20 seconds. So as soon as those beans are off, or as soon as that corn's off, if you only have 2, 3, 4 days to get that stuff done, you can go through some serious acres with this Valmar 246. We have one of these on the lot, and it's a very popular tool. It always has been. But if you need to cover acres in a short period of time, there's no ground engaging units here. So just simply go and broadcast. We're typically going to get some rain at that time frame, so germination's typically pretty good. So throw in some rye, seed it at that 25, 30 pounds per acre, and you'll get through a lot of acres really quick. So that 246, again, price-wise on something like that, you'll be in the 30s on that unit as well. So we've passed the interseeding phase. I just talked about everything that could potentially go through V4 corn. We're going to move on to the interseeding phase with a high clearance sprayer. And right here again, you see the Valmar 56 series cover crop seeder mounted onto a Heggie sprayer. We lifted off the tank, which is extremely easy to do. That tank is only held on with 4 bolts. And we dropped in a Valmar 6056. That particular seeder holds 3,000 pounds of product, and he's applying this with a 60-foot boom going out there into his standing corn and blowing down cover crops. So very, at this time of the year, you're not using that sprayer anymore. You're done with fungicide. You're done spraying herbicides, and that sprayer is just going to sit. So if you already own one, why not convert it to dry and go out there? And again, you can cover some serious acres with a unit like that. Again, you're obviously beating that October 15th deadline, because I'm telling you guys, you're going to have to get creative. If you want to cover all of your acres before that October 15th deadline, it will not get done with a post-harvest pass on corn, most likely. Maybe some of that ground that gets chopped, but not very likely that we'll have all our corn off by October 15th. So we're going to have to get creative. And whenever we get creative, that's where Fennig Equipment steps in and offers solutions for interseeding using equipment that you've already got. That's a huge thing. Maybe you have a row cultivator toolbar laying around. Let's throw a Valmar seeder on it. Things like that can keep you very efficient. I mentioned briefly earlier in the webinar about our FE4R high boy cover crop application unit, and that's what we're displaying here in this slide. That's a 140 cubic foot box, and it has the capability of blowing out dry products, cover crops, up to 120 feet. So if you've got a 90-foot Hagee or 120-foot Hagee or miller, this FE4R can go on that sprayer, and you can go out there and cover acres 120 or 90 feet at a time. This has built-in scales. It's got its own rate controller. We can even do section control on this unit. This is a very popular item. We've sold quite a few of these. You've probably seen them on several Hagees stretched across the country. But just keep in mind, if you've already got that sprayer, lift off that wet tank, drop in this cover crop seeder, and this is something you can pick up some serious custom work with, because there's only going to be a handful of guys that grab onto this interseeding thing and can handle getting cover crops in before that October 15th deadline. Everyone else is going to have to call their neighbor and have them do the custom work for them. So give us a call. Check out this cover crop seeder. This will be on display down at the Louisville Farm Show as well if you guys are heading down there. Again, we're not limited to the millers or the Hagees. That is also available on the Apache sprayers. We have also done 2 John Deeres as well. So if you've got that sprayer that can cover some tall corn, give us a call. This customer right here, we just did this project this summer. He put a Valmar 6056 on there. Again, that name's coming up again. 3,000 pound capacity, and he's blowing down cover crops with his John Deere sprayer at 60-foot widths at a time. It's a great opportunity. Again, he's not using that sprayer anymore at that time frame. Go out and make it earn some money and turn the wheels, putting down some cover crops. That concludes the cover crop portion of the equipment that we can do. Again, you saw things that can help you in the side dress application window, at the interseeding in the tall corn window, on the corn head. I didn't show a ton of post-harvest application. If you're interested in that, that is the easiest one to do. We can mount a Valmar on almost anything. We've mounted them on J&M rolling baskets, Salford vertical tillage tools, Great Plains, Krause accelerators, McFarland's, rolling harrows, anything. The post-harvest application is the easiest one to tackle. We can simply mount that thing on anything and go out there and get cover crops done. So that concludes the cover crop side of it. Now we're going to talk about banding phosphorus and the ways that we've done that. So I told you some constants were going to be the Salford carts tied in with the Yetter units, and that's exactly what you're seeing here. This is the Yetter Magnum unit. We're feeding it with the Salford cart. This particular one is a 3-tank cart, and that's the Yetter Magnum. We've got a dry hose coming down to that tube, and what the Yetter Magnum is it's a 22-inch blade on a slight angle, 5 degrees, and it's got a side knife on it that's tucked in here behind that blade, beside the blade, I should say, and that dry fertilizer comes down and puts it right into that slot that is opened up by that blade on an angle, and it's placed right below the surface, up to 5 inches deep, and then it gets sealed back shut with that sealer right there. So it's a very good opportunity to cover acres, because you can run these at higher speeds, anywhere from 6 to 10 miles an hour. Open up the slot, place the fertilizer, and get it sealed back shut. And I'm telling you, with a slight breeze and a 1/4 inch of rain, you can't even tell where you ran this tool in the field. So the no-till guys, this one's for you as well. Extremely low disturbance. Again, here's another toolbar that we've put together using a Salford AC1000 cart, pulling a Yetter Maverick strip till toolbar. The Yetter strip till bar actually creates a complete berm. It does full tillage, like a heavy duty strip tillage machine. So he's going in there in the fall, banding his fertilizer somewhere in that 8 to 9 inches of depth with this tool. Again, can very easily be done. This slide is pretty good. I wanted to show you pictures of the 3 different options that I've been talking about over and over, and we'll go over them one by one here and how they all work. So your first option is the Yetter 10,000 Magnum. That would be this one right here. That Yetter Magnum, again, it's a 22-inch blade on a slight angle. Your dry fertilizers are going to come right down in through here, through this tube, and be placed right here at the depth of that blade as it's running. So your fertilizer is placed below the surface, and then this walking tandem actually zips that back shut. So it's high speed running through there, placing the fertilizer down in the trench made by that blade that's really narrow, and then it gets zipped shut by this walking tandem. The second option, this Nutrient Pro 4000, think of it as the exact same unit as the Yetter Magnum and just a little bit of a smaller form. This Nutrient Pro was designed to go on side dress scenarios and also planters. This comes in a 16-inch blade and an 18-inch blade. But again, fertilizer comes down through here, through your dry tube, and gets placed right here in this zone that's opened up by the blade. On this one, this gauge wheel is actually a true depth gauge wheel. You set your rigid depth with that wheel, and then it's got a optional sealer back here. So this can come with or without the sealer. Third option is the Yetter 2984 heavy duty Maverick strip till unit. So with this one, again, we're actually creating a berm. This is typically used either in the fall or in the early spring. But again, what we're doing is the row cleaners are moving the residue out of the way. The mole knife comes through, and you've got your fertilizer that comes down right behind the mole knife. It's placed at that depth. These covering wheels cover it over, and then the rolling basket smooths everything off so that you can plant into that. Those are the three popular colders or units that I would suggest. If a guy came to us and said, Fennig Equipment, build me a bar to subsurface apply my phosphorus in the fall, but I have to cover some acres, I would point you to one of these three, depending on your requirements and what you're looking for. We would hang them on a toolbar. We would outfit it with our Yetter or our Salford ST10 carts, and you would have a complete package ready to variable rate and subsurface apply your phosphorus. So here's the ST10 or the ST carts. We'll do a breakdown of those here real quick. These are available in 6, 10, and 12 ton capacities. So the 6-ton capacity is a single cart. That's what you see here in this picture on the right. That's just a single bin. Over here on the left, this is a unique build that we did. This one is an ST10, so it's got a 6-ton tank here and a 4-ton tank here. They're metered individually, but the product is blown into the same tube. So you still only have one tube going to each opener. But this particular customer wanted to also put on micros, boron and zinc. So we mounted a Valmar 4056 onto that unit. So this is technically a 3-bin ST card. It's pretty unique. And again, 3 different meters, blowing it all into the same stream, and extremely accurate. We can do rates of 5 pounds up to 500 pounds. Really accurate, heavy duty, very well built carts that follow behind you. We've learned over the years that it's best to have these bars hooked directly to the tractor and then tow your cart. That keeps that toolbar from walking on you, and it keeps it rigid if you're going to be planting in behind it. Here's another great slide. We talk all about these openers and what they can do, but here's a great visual of actually how they look in the field. So right over here on the left, that is the Yetter 10,000 Magnum opener as it goes through the field. Again, you can hardly tell it went through there. It just comes through, cuts a slice, puts the fertilizer down, and gets zipped back shut. It's that simple. It's quick. There's not a ton of eruption. There's hardly any dirt movement whatsoever. And it's beautiful the way it places that fertilizer just tight right underneath that soil at your desired depth. This one right here is also the Yetter 10,000 Magnum, and you're thinking, well, that looks quite a bit different, Adam, and what's the difference there? Well, here we've got a row cleaner on the front of that Magnum, and you're thinking, well, why in the world would I put a row cleaner on the front of a Yetter Magnum? Well, if you're doing there's a million faces of strip tillage. There's the full-blown strip tillage, and then there's strip placement, which is what is being done right here with the row cleaners on that Magnum. So let's say in the fall, you want to place your fertilizer and you want to move some residue to prepare for spring without doing all the eruption and all the tillage. The row cleaners do a phenomenal job of moving the residue. So come spring, that zone's going to warm up quite a bit sooner. It's going to be easier to plant through. You'll be able to see your strips better. And there's some guys that really take advantage of what that row cleaner can do for them. It's, of course, an option. Over here on the right then is the 2984 heavy duty Maverick full-blown strip till unit. Again, it's got the cutter up front, the row cleaners to move the residue, the knife option to dig and lift, and then the covering disc to cover that over with a rolling basket to come through. So those are the three stages of aggressiveness, I guess you could say, with these openers. And it's a very good visual of what they're all capable of doing and how they will look when they run in your field. So again, here's a great picture of the Yetter Magnum and how it runs through the field. You can see here very little disturbance. That blade simply cuts through, nitrogen's any nutrient is placed and then covered right back up. 22-inch blade. It's got the walking tandem sealer option, which means basically you can control which wheel gets more weight, and as it goes to the field, it just contours to zip that row right back shut. High speed, low disturbance opener that can do liquid, dry, and anhydrous. So a little bit more on these ST carts. I wanted to show a really good picture of this metering system and how it works. They've got several metering roller options based on the product and the rates that you're looking to spit out. But you can see that fertilizer is just metered and it falls into the Venturi line, and it is then carried out via the heavy duty fan, blown out through the row down into your opener. Available in 6, 10, and 12 tons. They've got built-in scales, variable rate capability. I do currently have this ST6 on our lot if you guys would ever want to look at one. Here's the toolbar that we built with the Yetter Magnum 10,000. And again, I talked about how many faces there are to this strip tillage or strip placement. Here's one of them. This customer completely customized this deal, and it was pretty cool. Row cleaners would move the residue. The Yetter Magnum would place the fertilizer, and then he ran some blades and some covering discs to do a little bit of strip tillage to prepare for the planter. This was a spring pass, so he was doing a lot of things, but it worked out pretty well. That's all I've got. I'm going to cover a few other things here. We talked everything from banding phosphorus to applying cover crops, but some other things that have came to light based on talking to customers over the last couple of days. Don't forget about your planter. I'm working with some growers right now that are wanting to ban their phosphorus with their planter, their 2x2 system, and I'm pricing out some variable rate fertilizer systems to go on planters to do so. And don't forget about your planter. Another thing is the manure side of this H2Ohio project. One of the things they talk about is you can apply manure into a standing crop as a side dress so that growing crop can absorb the nutrients. Well, Yetter has the Yetter Avenger. I did not show it in these slides, but think of it as a larger Yetter Magnum. Basically, it's a 24-inch blade. It can go through there and place manure, and it's also got covering disc to cover it up really well. But I've had several guys side dress their corn with manure using the Yetter Avenger coolers. Very good option for you there as well. Again, Fennig Equipment has built several bars. We've done the cover crops, we've done the banding of phosphorus, and we've done the banding of manure. We've teamed up, of course, with Yetter and with Salford. We've relied on them very heavily to get the quality equipment and the knowledge to help us become the fertilizer application specialists we are. So they're offering tools. They've been working on this for a while, and we're ready. H2Ohio has came. It's here, and we've been preparing for it for the last several years. So I did mention, if you follow us on Facebook or Twitter, that there was going to be a couple of announcements here in this webinar, and I guess it's time to do that. So as you saw, H2Ohio and the committee, they're going around Ohio to all of these locations, and they're having educational meetings to teach you guys about the program and how to become qualified and all that. Fennig Equipment wants to do the same thing, but educate you on the equipment side of things and how we can help bring the equipment to you guys. So we're working on setting up meetings across Ohio. We're going to have the meetings at the same location that you had your H2Ohio meeting at, just a few days later. So, for example, our first meeting that we've got locked in, guys, is at the Delphus Eagles. So I was at the Delphus meeting. So if anyone was at the Delphus meeting, that was a packed house, over 300 people. We're having a Fennig Equipment meeting at the Delphus Eagles after the Louisville Farm Show, Tuesday, February 18th at 11:30. We're going to have a light lunch for you guys. It'll be a half hour to 45 minutes. We're going to bring the ST air carts there. We're going to bring some strip till units, the Yetter Magnum and the Nutrient Pro 4000 to you guys to put your hands on, to see, to talk with over you guys with ideas. So that's our first meeting. We have that one booked already. Delphus, we'll be sending out more information about this, but Delphus Eagles, 11:30 on on February 18th. Mark your calendars. We'll be having a lot more about that soon. Then we're going to go to Ada. We're going to go to Auglaize County, and then of course Mercer County as well. So we're going to get in there with you guys, talk to you guys, help you answer the questions you have about the equipment. And I know there's a lot of it. Everyone's scrambling right now, like I said, figuring out what they can do and how they can use all these toolbars. And we're here to help and kind of ease everyone into that. Kind of relieve the pressure of panic on, where am I going to get this equipment? Who can help me? Can my John Deere dealer help me? Or do I go to Fennig Equipment? Or Fennig Equipment's been doing it for years, and we would be happy to help. Our team is very well versed. We've got Jeff Worley at Yetter Manufacturing. We've got Dave Gunkelman with Salford. We're ready to get all in and help you guys with this stuff. So that's it for today. If you guys do have any more questions, feel free to reach out to us. This is going to be uploaded to YouTube here shortly. So feel free to watch, feel free to send it to your friends, but get the word out that we will be having meetings around the state. Also, if you are going to the Conservation Tillage Conference in Ada, Ohio, let's see here, we will be there. I'm trying to get the dates pulled up here and when that's going to be. So that's going to be in Ada, Ohio, March 3rd and 4th. There at the Ohio Northern University. Fennig Equipment will have a booth there. Feel free to come talk to us there in Ada, Ohio. So that's all I've got today. Thanks for tuning into our webinar. If you don't already, follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Thanks for tuning in.